welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Kern.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball, kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there to my actual left, as you can not see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Kern. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, we got a lot to get into today. We got very much babbipped yesterday by the Springfield College Wi-Fi and couldn't record, so that gave us a little bit more to talk about. Obviously, the big news, of course, the Phillies declined the club option on Andrew McCutchen, which will make him a free agent.
Yeah, I mean, just a groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Biggest news out of the NL East for sure.
Definitely. You know, you have to worry about their chances in 2022, which is, all we're talking about is 2022. There's definitely nothing to review nothing more to review from the 2021 season.
We have covered everything.
Yeah, we got it all.
Mm-hmm.
We got it all.
Indeed.
Everything that's important, at least.
Yep.
In terms of the piece of metal, the Atlanta Braves have acquired it, and they now have it.
They have the piece of metal. Yep, it is their second one since moving to Atlanta. It is their fourth in franchise history? Fifth?
I think fourth.
Yeah.
Man, they've really spaced it out.
They did.
It was 1920, 1957, 1995, and 2021.
Yeah, see you guys in 2050.
Yeah. Hey, Braves fans, enjoy this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy this one while you got it. I mean, I know most Atlanta sports fans are probably like that anyway, but it does add to the narrative. Like, Atlanta was able to succeed in some form or fashion and get their World Series in a surprising outcome, for sure.
Yeah, it was a 7-0 game in Game 6. I mean, it felt like it obviously felt over in Game 5 when Adam Duvall hit the grand slam, and it wasn't. But like it felt more over now, like when Soler hit that home run.
The way, like him.
But that was such a backbreaker.
Like the way he just knew it off the bat and like pumped his chest towards his own dugout. I was in a room of people that was like not really paying attention to the game, and I just let out an audible, "Oh my god!" Yeah, like that ball was crushed. It was 446. I don't believe that. Yeah, 446 pulled.
Yeah.
So that's like 100 feet over the fence.
Yep.
That's why it seemed like it was 546 feet.
I was saying, like, if you were to take that same like ball, put it to center, it still would have been like 20 feet over the fence.
Yeah.
Probably more than that.
Absolutely.
It would have been over Tal's Hill if it was still there.
Yes. R.I.P. Tal's Hill.
Yeah.
That's something I'm still not really over.
How is that allowed? The Astros just had a hill in center field.
It was like one of those like worst high school field ever.
Yeah.
And it was in Minute Maid Park.
Yep.
Was that hill. But I don't know. I always enjoyed it. It was good for a nice triple.
It was cool when you didn't have to play there like several times a year.
Yes.
It's cool to watch other people do.
Especially, yeah, when they were in the National League and the Red Sox didn't have to deal with them.
Yeah.
For reference, we are Red Sox fans. I don't know if everyone knew that. But yeah, we go to Game 6 here. I'm thinking, Astros have made this a series, and bottom of the first, there's a lot of reason for hope with Houston because they coming out of the gate, they are BABIPing Max Fried again.
Yep.
Max Fried's getting a bit unlucky with some of the hits that are happening as we go to the first inning here. Yeah, his first batter, or was it first batter he faced?
It was.
Yeah, first batter he faced Jose Altuve.
hit a single through the hole.
Yeah, single through the hole. It had an expected batting average of 230. Then a weird play at first base altogether because Max Fried got his ankle stepped on. He seemed to be fine. I don't know how. It looked very, very painful.
It looked very gruesome.
And it ended up with Michael Brantley on first base and Jose Altuve on second base with nobody out. And that is not something you want if you're Max Fried, given the Astros offense and their noted ability to string hits together and hit with runners in scoring position.
Absolutely.
But that's when he turned it on. He eventually, in this inning, throws the fastest pitch he's thrown all year at 98.4 miles per hour. It was a Max Fried unlike I've seen. I haven't seen him in like a regular season summer game where maybe he's pumping it a little harder, but he was throwing it crazy hard. He was able to strike out Carlos Correa, induce a ground out to Yordan Alvarez, and then strike out Yuli Gurriel. Just pumping a lot of fastballs in that first inning, which I feel like Fried is more of a guy who mixes it up.
Yeah, I mean Fried, like he ran it up. He ran up the radar gun after. I swear to God, he should have torn his ACL there. It looked like that made no sense, but I mean it was a gutsy outing from him. It was just a gutsy. I mean, this whole postseason was just gutsy performances by the Braves. We've talked about that bullpen a lot, but like they had some really good starts as well.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the first inning. His first at bat, his at bat to Altuve, the fastest pitch he threw was 95.4. Then to Brantley, it was 95.0. Then Carlos Correa, 95.8 was the fastest one. Eventually, he was able to get it up to 96.6 to Yordan Alvarez. And then the Gurriel one was pretty crazy. He actually, I didn't even realize, he just took three straight fastballs in a row.
Yep.
97.3, 97.0, 98.4.
That's the one.
That's the type of stuff that's going to get you out of those tough innings. That's for sure.
It was just all like the Astros had nothing to cheer for from that point forward.
Exactly. Yeah. Not much hope. As we're looking at the play-by-play here, bottom of the second, 1-2-3 inning, and then top of the third, that's when we get the Braves rally getting going. Ozzie Albies gets a single to right. Travis d'Arnaud flies out. Dansby Swanson lines out. Eddie Rosario gets a walk. And Luis Garcia ends up in a pretty competitive at-bat with Jorge Soler. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's trying to go down in a way, as we've established. That's
what you should do.
Seems to be the scouting report against Jorge Soler. And eventually, on the 8th pitch of the at-bat, Luis Garcia hangs one, leaves it inside, and Jorge Soler, as we mentioned, hit it 446 feet.
Yeah.
That's a classic gone at 30 out of 30.
I would hope so. Expected batting average of 1,000. Yeah. Sorry, Hunter Renfroe in 2020.
Yeah. Tough scenario.
Hey, when you hit one 440 feet and it has a 980 expected batting average, when that gets robbed.
2% of the time, hate it every time. That seemed, as you mentioned, that seemed to be the backbreaker with at least how Fried was looking, and what the Astros pitching situation was too, because Garcia's out immediately there. It's kind of established that Urquidy's not going to pitch in that game. Framber pitched the game before
that,
yeah. So they kind of have to dig deep in their bullpen again. They didn't get the same start from Garcia that they got in either Game 3 of the World Series or Game 6 of the CS, so nothing really looked good, and it just kept going Braves.
Yeah, it did. It was the Jorge Soler home run, Dansby hit a home run, Freeman hit an RBI double, and then Freeman hit a home run.
Yep.
Which is cool that Freeman gets the last two moments.
It is, because unfortunately, there's a possibility that those are his last two moments.
I don't think it. I think he resigns.
Yeah, that's why I say possibility.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing him fitting anywhere else. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Like, yeah, it's weird just picturing him in a different jersey. I've tried to see, like, who would get him.
Yeah, like who would go for it? It almost feels like no one's gonna go for him out of respect for the Braves. It's like this is your guy. Like we can't take him.
Or, yeah, the Padres just offer, like, we will give you 5 years, $45 million.
Yeah, you can get the same salary as your friend Ozzy.
Yeah. We're not going to mess with the Braves there, which, yeah, it is funny you bring that up because it just feels like he belongs on the Braves forever.
He does.
For sure. But yeah, he does get the last 2 moments. Fried goes 6 shutout innings, and obviously the Braves pulled him too early.
Yeah, clearly.
Clearly, as the rest of the bullpen also shut out the Astros.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've mentioned this so many times, but just like what a October it was for the Braves bullpen. Like that's the entirety of why they were able to win the World Series this year. In my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, no doubt. Like that's what got them through the Dodgers series. That's for sure. Was their ability to pitch very well in high leverage situations, and like Tyler Matzek specifically, he had 2 shutout innings in Game 6 of the World Series, the clincher. He ended up with an ERA of, I believe, shout out to Cars.
Yeah.
I believe it was like a 1.72 ERA. Was Tyler Matzek's postseason ERA. Someone we didn't suspect to have that kind of success in these playoffs, but he did. And yeah, and Will Smith we haven't talked about enough because I don't think he allowed a run. Like,
No.
yeah.
I don't remember any time where he did.
Yeah, I did see some stat out there. I wish I could go back and retrieve it. But as we go to Will Smith pitcher, his postseason game logs, like he was nails every time. You didn't have to worry. We thought we were gonna have to worry about him, but it didn't end up happening. As he, how many innings did he go here? He went 11 shutout innings. 11 shutout innings, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks, 5 hits allowed, 2.53 FIP. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like you didn't expect the Braves bullpen to be like this, and that's why a lot of people didn't expect them to win, like, without ever having to play a winner-take-all game either.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who would have thought? If we said before the postseason that the Braves were going to win the World Series, it's like, oh, they're probably going to grind through like 5-game series with Milwaukee, 7 with the NL West team, and then, who knows what happens in the World Series. But they
did this all pretty handily.
Yeah, 11-5.
Mm-hmm.
11-5 in the playoffs.
Not bad.
11-5. They didn't play the wild card game. So yeah, I mean, I guess we should talk about, certain players getting their first ring, I guess.
Yeah. Freddie Freeman, obviously. He's been there. He's been in the organization for how long? Like 2007, I think he was drafted.
That sounds about right.
I know he made his debut in 2010.
Yes, he did.
He was drafted in 2007, second round.
So he's been in the organization for 14 years.
He has been. He's been on the team for 11 years. He has over 1,700 hits. He has 270 home runs. Like, he's been around for so much. He was around for some great years when he came up. Then he went through some dark years with the team. Like 2014 through 17 was just all bad years. And he had a 147 OPS plus during those 4 years. Like, he was performing every day like he was on this team. And obviously 2018 they were early. You know, they burst onto the scene before they were expected, made the playoffs. They've won their division every year since. They were so close to the World Series in 2020, and they got there in 2021, and they left their mark.
Yeah, I mean, messed around and won an MVP.
Yep.
In the process. Yeah, he's definitely cemented his legacy as one of the great Braves.
Mm-hmm.
I know if he retired today, he wouldn't be necessarily a Hall of Famer, but he's very well
But he's
on
not retiring today.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
He's very well on a good track, and I think he's still only like 32.
He's going into his age 32 season. Yeah.
Yeah, which is good for him with the free agent market.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's that was very positive to see. He's someone that no one dislikes in the baseball world.
No, you can't.
Not even like Mets fans.
Mm-hmm.
They may hate
The team, but not Freddie.
they may hate facing him, but they definitely don't hate the player
Or the guy.
or the guy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a big one.
Dansby Swanson is a Georgia native, I believe.
Yes, that was a storyline, and one that we both loved was Ron Washington.
Yeah.
He's been how long? He coached for what? He's been coaching for 30 years.
I'll start before then. He started his career as a player in 1977. He played for 11 years, 10 years, retired in 1989, and then he went into his first managerial job in 2007. Of course, he managed the Rangers for 8 years. Went to the World Series twice, was one strike away twice, and in the time he obviously went through a drug addiction that had to take him off the field at some points. That was obviously very just upsetting to see, but he's going through it all. He's a baseball lifer. He's a well-respected guy, and he got his well-earned World Series championship.
Yeah, it's something where you can't help but feel happy for.
You can't help but smile for the guy. Yeah.
Exactly. So that was good to see him still playing a role on successful Major League Baseball teams.
Brian Snitker.
Brian Snitker. I mean, he's cemented a legacy. We've mentioned there's nothing we've really disagreed with in terms of what he's done managerially speaking.
It's funny because SI wrote like this article about how he's old school and doesn't do analytics. And it's like, did you see what he did out of the bullpen during those World Series games? Did you see him pull Ian Anderson with a no-hitter? Did you see him start Dylan Lee and have him face 4 batters?
Yeah.
Look what happened. They won both of those games that I just mentioned, gave up a combined 2 runs.
Yeah,
He pulled Max Fried with a comfortable lead to get the best guys out there to ensure that nothing happens at all.
Yeah, just because he's 66 doesn't mean he can't be anti-analytics. Or doesn't mean or how do I phrase that? I said that wrong. Just because he's 66 doesn't mean he has to be
this
old school, gruff and tough,
That doesn't have to be his archetype.
And he's doing things. He did things a pretty modern way. Obviously, it worked, and like we joked about him pulling. He obviously pulled Fried too early. Everything he did worked. I mean, the bullpen did help him out. They did overperform, but I think he obviously put them in the right situations.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to overwork anybody. Just kind of seemingly flawless.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to think.
That's the best way I can think of putting it. There was no moments where I was like, "Really? You're doing that?"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with the roster he had, he did exactly what he had to do.
Yeah. I don't even think Dusty Baker did anything really particularly bad either that I can think of off the top of my head.
Because you can't really complain about him bringing Urquidy in Game 5 because that's an elimination game. And you need all hands on deck. So
yeah, this is a very well managed World Series.
Yeah,
I think that's a takeaway.
Yeah, it was. There was no he left him in too early.
Mhm.
there were complaints of being pulled too early, but it never actually backfired.
It never turned into a loss. Like there was never a loss turned into a win or whatever. Everything worked out.
Exactly. So like that's why like covering this World Series, like from a podcast perspective, it's not good for like media. There's not too many storylines, which is good for the teams, but kind of bad for like the media aspect, because there wasn't Dave Roberts putting in Joe Kelly for a second inning, or other odd decisions being made. Nothing you can really trash. Anything more from this World Series?
Congratulations to the Braves. They were my preseason World Series pick.
Yeah, good job.
And, it feels like I want to pat myself on the back, but I had no idea it would happen anything like the way it did. Like, you lose two of your three best offensive players. You lose your best overall player mid-season. And, I mean, also credit to Alex Antopoulos. I mean, like, executive of the year easily. And that's not just because he won the World Series. Like, he replaced Acuna and Ozuna and even Soroka. Like,
yeah.
He managed to get there without all those guys.
Yeah, it was literally the Moneyball thing we joke about.
Yeah.
Is like, you can't replace Ronald Acuna, but you can recreate him.
Yep.
That's kind of what happened. And yeah, obviously did a great job. Everything you pulled off seemed to work at the trade deadline. And I mean, it just still surprising.
Absolutely.
Seeing exactly how it panned out. So yeah, congratulations to the Braves.
Parade's today. It's cool.
The parade is today, Friday, November 5th.
Yeah.
And nothing else I can think of with this series. So it is episode 162, and fitting enough that our final episode talking about 2021 baseball that just happened is episode 162.
Yeah,
obviously
it's the end of the season.
Yeah, it is. As there are 162 regular season games, so it's our final one. Obviously we were still going to have more episodes every week. And yeah, by the way, the podcast is going to once a week, as it usually does in the off season. Yep. Except last year when we had history, but we don't have history this off season. But it is the last episode of reviewing kind of what happened in the 2021 season. So we figured we'd talk about some of the people we talked about before the season starting, with our preview episodes. We break down each division, each episode, and talk about players to watch. We usually pick one player or potentially two players from each team, talking about like why you should watch them and why they might be why they might succeed kind of under the radar this upcoming season. Sometimes they work. A lot of the time they don't work because we try to dig a little deeper. But we're going to talk about our best hits and biggest flops.
Yep.
So I guess you'll start off with...
I'll start off with my biggest hits.
With biggest hits.
I listed... There was no parameter on how many we need to name. I was pretty happy with some of my picks, so I did 5 hits. I also did 3 flops. So as for my best hits, at number 5, this guy did better than some of the other people on this list, but he was more of a name coming into the season, so I put him at number 5. Will Smith from the Los Angeles Dodgers. I said coming into the season that he was one of the best offensive catchers in the game, and he continued that this year. He slashed 258, 365, 495, 860 for a 130 weighted runs created plus. And that 130 weighted runs created plus was 4th among catchers, minimum 300 plate appearances, and he had 500 plate appearances. So I could have cherry picked that a little, but I stuck with stuck with a lower number to give some more people the opportunity to surpass him, and only 3 people did. So, Will Smith coming in at number 5, and coming in at number 4, also a guy who performed well, but not for the reasons I expected him to. Similar to the Braves, was Robbie Grossman from the Detroit Tigers. I talked about how from 2019 to 20, his ISO had, I think, the biggest increase in baseball, and he wasn't really a slugger this year, but he took a bunch of walks. He slashed 239, 357, 415 for a 772 OPS. That was good for a 114 weighted runs created plus, and he was 12th among outfielders in OBP this year. And now, number 3 is a pitcher, the first pitcher on the list, Tyler Mahle from the Cincinnati Reds. Very pleased with his performance this year. 180 innings pitched, 1050 strikeouts per 9, and a 3.75 ERA with very similar peripherals. Everything was right around the same ballpark, which was great. Coming in at number 2 was one guy that really made me proud this season, Scott Barlow, reliever from the Kansas City Royals, who became one of the better relievers in baseball, 8th among all relievers in F4. He had 11.42 strikeouts per 9, 0.48 home runs per 9, a 2.42 ERA, a 2.63 FIP. He was established as their closer this year, and I expect big things from him coming forward. I think this is a breakout year. And number 1, you know it, Chris.
Yeah.
If there's one guy I would talk your ear off about this offseason, or last offseason, this season, it is potential American League Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray had 193 and a third innings pitched, and he also missed the first couple weeks of the season with an injury, so he probably could have gotten to 200 if he was healthy the whole year. He had 11.54 strikeouts per 9, but that's not really a surprise to anyone. What was a surprise was the 2.47 walks per 9. Robbie Ray was a perennial walk machine every single year, at least 3.5 walks per 9 minimum every single season for him, but he dropped down to 2.47 in 2021, which was remarkable, and it proved to be the difference maker because, you know, he's been a kind of just middle of the line rotation starter, and this year he's a potential Cy Young winner. He had a 2.84 ERA, a 3.69 FIP because he did give up a bunch of home runs, but Robbie Ray, I'm very, very pleased with his performance this season, and I really hope to see how he does in the Cy Young voting.
Yeah, some good hits there for sure. None of my hits are in award talks, really. I mean, this is gonna be more funny for me because, like, I guess I have to put hits down, but even the hits aren't great. The flops flopped. That's for sure. So I'll start with the hits. Number 4 is weird for me also because number 4 is Adam Duvall for me.
Not a bad hit.
He downgraded in OPS, but he still led the league in RBI, and he had like over an 1,100 OPS with runners in scoring position. So I'll say that. Number 3, I got Richard Rodriguez.
For the first half of the season, right?
Yeah, well, like, you know, let's just
hey, World Series champion Richard Rodriguez.
So let's just pretend it's like 2008. 2.94 ERA, 14 out of 17 in save opportunities. But I think I put him down also because I kind of called what would happen with Richard Rodriguez.
You did.
I said, like, he's a guy with a good amount of control. He's on a bad team. I think that he is going to, have a decent year, and he's a potential trade target for any competitors. And he was. However, he did not contribute in the postseason at all.
He had a beautiful Baseball Savant percentile page in, like, June.
He did.
It was like that was gonna be your number 1 hit.
Yeah, it was.
And then he went to the Braves, and then the crackdown happened, is what I should say.
Yeah, I remember specifically he was 45th percentile in fastball velocity and 95th percentile in fastball spin.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That changed. I think everything went down like at least 200 RPM, with his spin stuff. So yeah, but a 2.94 ERA and 14 out of 17 in save opportunities, and
oh my God, look at his percentile rankings now. They're so bad.
Dang.
His X slugging is in the 14th percentile. That was probably like 95th percentile in
But
June.
again, we can just pretend
Yeah.
it's 2008.
And none of this matters.
Ryan Howard is one of the best players in baseball. and and yeah, Cliff Lee, great. Love him. I think he had 22 wins or something like that. Number 2, I got Harrison Bader. It's still not great of a hit.
It's a hit.
He had a career high in OPS and B WAR.
He was a how about that? I think he had a career low in strikeout percentage now.
Very well potentially.
I'm pretty sure I covered that when I mentioned him and how about that.
I have Savant, so I have Savant pulled up already, so I'll take a look at that.
If it wasn't, it was like he had one other season with a lower like strikeout rate, but it was like
he had like 200 plate
Yeah.
appearances. Bader, Harrison Bader.
I got him pulled up, but it's
this
not loading.
thing's not loading. Yeah.
We're getting BABIP'd once again. Oh, here we go. I got it. Yeah, career low strikeout rate.
Yeah, his previous career low was 26.1, and that was with only 62 batted balls. And then before that, 28.8. So he had a solid,
And now he's at 21.2. That's a good hit.
yeah, solid decrease in strikeout rate, and obviously he continued with the defense.
Don't look at the expected statistics. They're not important, clearly, but
Yeah,
this is about what happened on the field this year, not what's gonna happen next year.
yeah, and 14 outs above average, but also let's kind of pretend it's 2008. He had I don't know what his average was. 267 with a Gold Glove defense, so that's like he's on a Hall of Fame track.
Yeah.
That's ironic, by the way, for those if people think that was
Real.
That was real. And number 1, I mean, he had a great 61 games. Byron Buxton. I think he led all my guys in WAR. And he played 61 games. But it's kind of a testament to how good he was in those games. He had 306 with a 1,005 OPS, and he had 4.5 B WAR and 4.2 F WAR, and he was top 20 in the American League in F WAR. So he was great, and if you go back to the episode, I think it's 97 or something like that, I do say, Byron Buxton, he's a very good player. It's just a matter of whether he's healthy or not.
Yep.
And
I mean that's kind of exactly how it played out.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
He was on track for an MVP season in April, and then he got hurt. So yeah, that was so those are my hits.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into your flops before the grand finale of my flops.
Yep. So I had 3 flops. Number 3, nothing went right for this team this year, and Stefan Crichton was included. Stefan Crichton was a reliever for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I was pretty excited about him, and he turned out with a 733 earned run average in 23 and a third innings pitched. I'm pretty sure he might have pitched, and actually he probably didn't. I was going to say maybe he pitched more in 2020 than he did, but I doubt that's true. His Ks per 9 dropped by 1.4, his walks per 9 rose by 1.5, and his home runs per 9 rose 0.9. Just about everything he could have done worse, he did worse in 2021 in comparison to his 2020 and even his 2019. My second flop was Will Myers. I really was hoping for more out of him. He slashed 256, 334, 434 for a 768 OPS, good for 109 weighted runs created plus. Want to hear the craziest thing, Chris? His BABIP actually went up from 2020.
Wow.
And his slugging percentage dropped 172 points despite that. That probably means he struck out a lot more. Yeah, that was just super weird. Will Myers, it's funny because we highlighted so many Padres players on Slightly Alarming. We didn't even bother hitting Will Myers, and he was just he wasn't particularly bad. He just never really caught fire.
Right. He just looked like pre-2020 Will Myers.
Yeah, he was just, by his standards, mediocre all season. His 172-point drop in slugging from 2020 was the fifth worst drop in the majors. And the number 1 flop, I knew this was going to be my number 1 hit or my number 1 flop, and it turned out to be the latter, Matt Moore. I was ready for the comeback. This is big. This is a tough day for the 2013 Rays. Will Myers and Matt Moore, both on my flop list. I was really hoping for the Matt Moore comeback this year, and it just didn't happen. 6.29 ERA and 73 innings pitched. I mean, I guess if you think about it, like if I told you in March that Matt Moore was going to throw 70 innings this year, you probably would have been like, "Wait, what team is he on?"
Yeah. Feel like, is he back on the Giants?
He was with the Phillies. His 5.76 FIP was the 6th worst among 196 pitchers with at least 70 innings pitched. Matt Moore was my number one flop. He did not make me look like a literal wizard with that pick. But Chris, you have the floor.
I have 8 players of the 30 major league teams, and I mean there were plenty others that were disappointing but didn't make the list. So my number 8, I actually didn't think he was having that bad of a year, but I have to include him because he did get released mid-season. Jose Iglesias. He wasn't having a crazy bad year, but he got released, so he's going to be number 8. Number 7 is Ryan Yarbrough. His ERA plus went down 38 points from 2020, and yeah, I was like kind of hyping him up, saying that now that Snell and Morton are gone, he kind of has to be the number 2 pitcher, and he just never really stepped up. I mean, at least especially in the later half of the year. So that was number 7. Number 6, Dylan Moore. He had an 855 OPS last year. This year was 610, and this is especially disappointing because everyone on the Mariners seemed to overperform except like Jared Kelenic and Evan White and Dylan Moore, who had a 610 OPS, and his OPS plus went down 67 points from 2020. My number 5 is Tanner Rainey. He had a 7.39 ERA and a 5.63 FIP in 31 2/3 innings pitched. And one of the things that just really backfired on me is I talked about how he cut his walk rate by more than half from 2019 to 2020. Then his 2021 walks per 9 matched his 2019 walks per 9. So he went from 7.1 walks per 9 to 3.1 walks per 9, back to 7.1 walks per 9.
I was about to say he actually had a pretty good September, but he gave up 4 runs in his last 2 outings.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He had a 6.35 ERA with a 1.41 FIP. That's tough.
That is tough. Tough year for Tanner Rainey. So, yeah, that was disappointing. My number 4, Clint Frazier. He was a slightly alarming very, very early on in the season from me. His OPS plus went down 74 points from 2020. Number 3, Jeff McNeil. Every Mets fan was like wondering what the heck was going on with Jeff McNeil because he was nothing but great before this year. After hitting at least 311 every year before, he hit 251 this year, and his OPS plus went down 51 points from where it was in his entire career up to this year. His career OPS plus before this year was, I think, like 138, and this year it was, I think, 77.
Damn.
Or 87. I'm trying to think of it might have been 61 points. Maybe my math was off, but the point is his OPS plus dropped off a ton, and just his general offensive performance dropped off a ton. My number 2 is Willie Castro. He went from hitting 349 to 220, and his OPS plus went down 79 points from 2020. And lastly, the flop of all flops in the year 2021 is Tim LaCastro. He had a 491 OPS this year in 55 games before getting DFA'd by the worst team in baseball. He got DFA'd by the worst team in baseball. I think that's as big a flop as you can get. So shout out to Tim LaCastro. He wins that award.
Imagine having him on your favorite team.
Yeah. Oh man. Imagine just picking him up after he got released by the Diamondbacks.
No, I mean like right now.
Right now, what?
Tim LeCastre's in the news, Chris.
Uh,
The Red Sox picked him up. Tim LeCastre was a Boston Red Sox.
all right. Well,
Yeah. I wanted to break the news. It happened while we were recording. I wanted to break the news to you, but I was like, wait, he's going to mention him in his flops. I didn't realize he was going to be flop of the year, but well, there you go.
All right. Well, I hope he gets back to his 2020 self. That that really put the exclamation point on there. Not that I'm mad. It's not like he's wasting salary space.
I don't think we're seeing Tim LeCastre in the Red Sox opening day lineup.
Yeah, and you know what? In the past year, Red Sox acquisitions from the Yankees have gone decently.
Right.
At least with one particular rookie.
Yeah.
All right, so those are our biggest hits, biggest flops for players to watch, and
Awards.
we will get into awards. Is usually like we talk about awards, not the episode after the World Series ended, but these things are coming up quick.
They are.
I had to look it up because I wanted to double check and make sure it was when I thought it was, and it wasn't when I thought it was. It ended up being that Monday, November 8th is when it starts, and it will end.
When are they going to announce the finalists?
I don't know if it's gonna happen, but every Google search I have,
There's no way.
they're gonna announce it like a day before.
No, there's no way.
Like
That's so weird.
it is. It's extremely weird. It is. Yeah, it's extremely weird.
I can't wait for me to pick someone. They're not even a finalist.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. MLB. I'm gonna double check MLB Awards 2021. See if there's been an update since. Oh wait, what? What is it saying now? Okay, I think. All right, let's go to MLB.com. They just announced 2 hours ago. Ready for award season? Here's your guide. The postseason is over, and that means award season has arrived. Oh my God! I think okay.
Is it next week? They changed it.
So it says Monday, November 8th, BBWAA Awards.
Oh, announcement, yeah.
Finalists.
Finalist announcement. I was going to say, they usually announce the finalists beforehand.
Finalists awards. So I guess we did all that work for nothing.
That's fine. I'm fine with just revealing them right now.
I don't know. Like I mean, yeah, we did just do all the work, and we're still only 41 minutes through, so, and it's not going to take too long. So yeah. Let's get into it. So we'll start off with how they will go chronologically. And we'll talk about who we think should win and who we think will end up winning. American League Rookie of the Year.
So I have a discrepancy between who I think will win and who I think should win. I think the winner will be Randy Arozarena, and I think my winner is Emmanuel Clase.
Ah.
I know that I don't understand how his strikeout numbers are not 17 per 9.
Yeah.
He's not even at 9, but he had a 1.29 ERA. Very good control for a guy who averages 100 miles an hour on his pitches.
Right.
And he was just he was a revolution for the Indians this year, the Cleveland Baseball Club. Obviously the last year that they have that name. And I think he should be the Rookie of the Year just because there wasn't any particular standout guy in the American League.
Yeah, that's a good point being made. Like a 1.29 ERA is something pretty crazy. I know when Craig Kimbrell won it, because I was looking back just to compare. When Craig Kimbrell won the Rookie of the Year, he had a 2.10 ERA with 44 saves.
Mm-hmm.
So, American League Rookie of the Year, I have Randy Arozarena, and I also believe he is going to win it. Led all American League rookies in wins above replacement. Along with that, 131 OPS plus, 128 weighted runs created plus. He had a 2020 season, 2 outs above average, and 3 defensive runs saved. And Rookie of the Year is hard to judge because there's complete different archetypes of players every single time. Like with American League, we got this standout reliever versus this kind of heart. I don't know if you would describe heartbeat of the lineup, but
Yeah.
a guy who was in the lineup consistently doing his job and doing it well and accumulating like wins above replacement, but he wasn't as excellent in the time he was playing. So it's weird to compare. So I can't I wouldn't be upset if we were surprised and like Emmanuel Clase won.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it's weird to compare for sure. And I think that continues with the next award, with National League Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So who do you got?
I have Trevor Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I believe he had the only rookie season in baseball history with 150 ERA plus, 10 plus strikeouts per nine, and less than 0.5 home runs per nine minimum, a certain amount of innings.
Mm-hmm.
He was, for the time he got hurt, but for the time he was here, he was really, really good. And I just don't think there was anyone else who stood out substantially more. But I think Jonathan India is probably going to win it.
Yeah, I agree that I think Jonathan India will win it. And I agree with you that I think it should be Trevor Rogers. I think it's a very, 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 very close race. I was looking at this like a lot, seeing like who would I go with if I had a vote, and it was tough. It's really, like we said, it's hard to compare them at all, given that Trevor Rogers was like on an inning per inning basis, batter face per batter face basis, more excellent at his job than Jonathan India, but Jonathan India definitely accumulated more, just being a position player who played 150 games, which is pretty crazy as a rookie to do. So I guess the only comparison I could make was, so Jonathan India had 396 batted balls. Trevor Rogers had 341 batted balls against. Of batters with 350 plus batted balls, Jonathan India's expected WOBA was 35th out of 118. That's top 30%. So, and then of pitchers with 300 plus batted balls against, Trevor Rogers' expected WOBA against was 18th out of 128, which was top 14%. So we're looking at like a guy who maybe did a little less, but was top 14% versus a guy who did a little more, but was top 30%, percentage-wise. It's weird to look at it that way, but that's the only statistical comparison I could come up with. And I don't know, like with Trevor Rogers' 2.64 ERA and his 2.55 FIP, it was hard to ignore, and like 133 innings is a good amount for a rookie. So I decided if I had a vote, I would go with Trevor Rogers. I think it will go to Jonathan India, and I don't think I'll be mad when it goes to Jonathan India.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. So then, American League Manager of the Year. Who do you got?
So for American League, I think Scott Service is going to win it. But I have Alex Cora. I do. The Red Sox were supposed to hover 500 this year. They got to the playoffs. Obviously, that's where the voting is. You can't consider that they went to the ALCS. But he's a quote-unquote first-year manager, but also not really. He was first year back with the team after everything that happened. He was in a division where they were like at best supposed to finish fourth. They finished second. They kind of owned the Yankees for most of the year. And I got Alex Cora.
My American League Manager of the Year is also Alex Cora. However, I do think they're going to give it to him, even though
Really?
I know
Okay.
there might be like a gripe against him for 2017. But I don't know. I see that award being given to him because also he did in fact make the playoffs, and it was a thing where it was just so obvious. So 2020. 2018, 2019, we see Cora as the manager. We see them as not a last place team. 2020, he's not the manager. They're a last place team. 2021, he's back to being the manager. They're a playoff team again.
Yeah.
So I think that obvious transition is going to be weighed on by the writers, and it's something that happened with me, and I think the resurgence was more impressive than what we had with Scott Service or Dusty Baker, because he was taking over a last place team who also didn't do a whole lot of big things over the offseason, just kind of small things here and there that ended up working out. And Corey utilized his players very well, didn't have a crazy talented roster, but was able to bring them to 92 wins when we thought it was going to be more like 82 wins. So that's why I think he is the manager of the year, and whether he ends up winning it is a question mark, but I think he will. Daniel thinks it will. The writers are going to have it for Scott Service. And then National League Manager of the Year. I mean,
come on. Gabe Kapler.
It's Gabe Kapler.
Yeah, there's not much else to say. A 107 win team. They won the division over the Dodgers when it was supposed to be exclusively Dodgers-Padres. What else do you need to say?
Yeah, I mean, when every publication is writing articles about your coaching staff and how they're resurging some players' careers, that's a good sign. And 107 wins, and they almost made the playoffs last year, but they were still under 500, and now they went to being a team that almost had like a 667 winning percentage.
Yeah,
almost won 2/3 of their games, which is insane to do in baseball. So obviously, Gabe Kapler gonna be National League Manager of the Year, and he will be. He probably wins that unanimously. And then American League Cy Young.
Chris, come on.
What are we doing here?
Come on, Chris. You think I'm gonna say someone else?
I don't know. I mean,
Oh, he's gonna finish third because the Randy Johnson career arc. No, he's definitely not finishing third. Robbie Ray is winning this award. I think they're going to give it to him. I think some people will say that Garrett Cole deserves it, but I think like that breakout factor that Ray has, and just like the expectation factor for Cole, like I think that's going to favor Robbie Ray, and I think he's going to win it.
I agree that he will win it, given that he's got the ERA title, he's got the most innings in baseball. I don't think they're going to go crazy into peripherals, and the reason I think he should win AL Cy Young is I don't think the peripherals with Cole tell like a crazy different story than it does with Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray, leader in innings pitched, ERA plus, and strikeouts. That's a good formula to win the Cy Young with the writers. Also, it should be considered here is consistency. Robbie Ray only had 1 month with an ERA above 3.5. Garrett Cole had three such months. I think he had 3 months with ERAs over 4, which Cole was.
The writers do love their consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And also with Robbie Ray led the American League in quality starts with 23. Garrett Cole only had 18. And we mentioned Garrett Cole because he's really the only competitor in that standpoint. I don't even know what the finalists might be.
I don't know.
Like, it's Ray, Cole, and who else? I got to look at, like, B-War.
I couldn't tell you, yeah.
Because
speaking of B-War, by the way, you know how the Cubs love their soft-throwing, like, pitchers?
Yeah.
They just claimed Wade Miley off waivers. Maybe Nathan Eovaldi?
Maybe, but I know you're looking at F4 leaderboards.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it, Chris? Lance Lynn's probably going to be the other one.
Yeah, did he? Yeah.
He did.
He qualified.
Yes.
I'm going pitching value. Yeah. Let's take a look at the leaders here. Yeah, Ray, Cole, Lynn. Lynn had 157 innings. But, I mean, like, not a lot of AL guys qualified in general. With a 2.69 ERA, 3.32 FIP, 176 strikeouts. Yeah, just like a week. It's a weak race too, by the way.
It is.
Like this is
Well,
probably.
I feel like most of these races are very weak. Like Rookie of the Year is both. Like both Rookie of the Years are tough. AL Cy Young is meh. NL Cy Young is good. AL MVP is just too obvious.
Yeah, right. NL MVP is pretty good. Yeah, American League Cy Young, like whoever wins, it's probably the worst Cy Young season since Rick Porcello's, I would say. And even at least Porcello, I think, had like 220 innings around there.
Yeah.
Um,
Verlander had a couple bad months that season, hence why the consistency thing.
yeah, exactly. So we both think Robbie Ray should and will win American League Cy Young. National League Cy Young, I am particularly fascinated with.
Yeah,
I know who you got.
I do. I do know who I got. Chris, why don't you go first?
I'll just establish this by saying this is probably the most fascinating Cy Young race in my lifetime, I would say. I've determined it. I think it should be Corbin Burns. I believe the voters will go with Walker Buehler.
Ooh, really?
I believe so.
Really?
So I believe 5 different pitchers will get first place votes.
Okay.
Walker Buehler, Corbin Burns, Max Scherzer, Zach Wheeler, and one guy.
We'll vote for Kevin Gausman.
One guy will vote for Julio Urias.
Oh, you think one guy's voting for Urias?
I think one guy's going for Urias, dude. Believe me on that. 20-3 with a 2.96 ERA.
I guess.
I think one guy.
There will be one person who does it.
Is going Urias.
I think Corbin Burns should win it. Obviously, a 1.63 FIP. That's generational. I think if they don't give it to Burns, they will give it to Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think he has more innings, I believe. Only by 6. But
if they don't give it to...
If they don't give it to Burns, I think they give it to Zach Wheeler.
Oh, well, like, what do you mean by more innings? 46 more innings? Yeah.
Yeah, but I was also comparing him to Buehler.
Oh, yeah.
It's only 6 more.
Yeah, I was like, the math was a little off.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Burns.
Corbin Burns didn't pitch very many innings, only 167, hence why there is some sort of doubt, but a 2.43 ERA, and that's with a 3.09 BABIP against. Walker Buehler had a 2.47 BABIP against.
Yep.
Which was the lowest among qualifiers.
So yeah, I believe 5 different pitchers are going to get first place votes. I believe the winner will get less than half of the first place votes. My top 2 that I considered are Corbin Burns and Zach Wheeler. I did love Zach Wheeler's innings advantage. He had 46 1/3 more innings pitched. But overall, I liked Burns's 39-point xWOBA against advantage because with this thing, I can't look at ERA given the expected stats that were at play here and how different they were for different guys. Because we definitely know that Buehler and Scherzer got a little lucky, and Burns definitely got unlucky. And Burns had an advantage in expected ERA of .77 compared to Wheeler. Because I'm really only comparing expected stats here. You know, I think it's already established that like Burns had a 2.43 ERA, but he also had a 2.01 expected ERA, so he got unlucky. And also some more stats to support Burns here. So of the 87 pitchers with 350 plus batted balls against, Burns was in the top 15% for bad luck with expected WOBA and expected ERA difference, and he was still able to win the ERA title. That's absurd.
Yeah.
And also a 4.19 BABIP against with runners in scoring position is an absolute anomaly, especially for someone in the 96th percentile for average exit velocity against, and also someone that has a 50% ground ball rate. So Burns definitely got unlucky, and that's why, like, you know, a guy with a 2.01 expected ERA and was able to get 167 innings. I I had him edge out Wheeler. The only thing that had me with Wheeler was the fact that he was able to get 46 more innings than him.
Mhm.
It's just I had to give the slight advantage to Burns, but I don't think it'll matter because I don't think they're going to give it to Corbin Burns anyway.
I don't think they will, but I think they should.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird race. I'm looking forward to the results, no doubt.
It will be interesting. Yes, I'm very excited for that.
Like just the voter breakdown. It will be
It
funny.
will be. I can't wait. I can't wait for one guy to actually vote for Julio Urias.
I think it'll happen.
It probably will.
So then American League MVP. We know.
Yeah, it's Shohei Ohtani.
Let's stop arguing for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He'll have his MVP season eventually, but this is not the year.
Yeah.
This is not. It's not happening.
There's nothing I don't know what offense could you have expected from someone to take down Shohei Ohtani in this year's MVP race?
I would
Name one offensive season you would vote over Shohei Ohtani this year, all time.
Oh well, Bonds.
Bonds 04. Would you?
Bonds 01, 02, 04.
You wouldn't vote 03. Only had a 1278 OPS.
Well, I think he also played 120 something games.
Still qualified.
So I would say Ohtani, but it's not necessarily all about the qualifications.
Yeah.
Because there still can be a distinct difference, and then, yeah, some of the Ruth seasons.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you have to have one of the greatest seasons of all time to not.
Fred Dunlap.
Yeah, Fred Dunlap. Yeah. Hannes Wagner's 1908.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It is weird because with Shohei Ohtani, he had a great season, but I would have expected double-digit wins above replacement. But I guess the defense thing threw him off.
Yeah, and the DH stuff.
Yep.
That'll do it. National League MVP. This is a very close race. What'd you go with?
I'll do. I want some details on Shohei Ohtani.
Okay. All right. Because
So he led Major League Baseball in combined B WAR and combined F WAR. He was within 40 points of the OPS leader in the American League, and he was also able to throw 130 innings with a 3.18 ERA and a 3.52 FIP. Along with that, he had one of 3 seasons ever with 45-plus home runs, 25-plus stolen bases, and 95-plus walks. The 2 other seasons were 1999 Chipper Jones and 1993 Barry Bonds. Both won MVP without throwing 130 innings with a 3.18 ERA. So that is Shohei Ohtani's 2021 season.
you could make a legit case for him for MVP even if he never set foot on the mound.
Yeah. He's definitely a finalist in my mind. He was so good, unbelievable. So National League MVP, as you mentioned, great race.
Yeah.
What is your breakdown of it?
My breakdown is that I'm gonna feel bad for whoever doesn't win between the 2 main candidates.
Yeah. 'Cause you like both guys.
It's Bryce Harper, it's Juan Soto. If Harper wins, I'm going to be like, man, Soto should have had it that year. And if Soto wins, I'm going to be like, man, Harper should have had a second one that year. Who would you go with?
I think...
Actually, wait, can we say it on 3?
So are we saying who we think should win?
Should win, yeah.
Okay,
On
1,
2,
3.
3. Soto.
Juan Soto.
Hey.
All right,
Okay.
there we go. Some consensus there.
Yeah.
I think pessimistically, I think the voters are going to go with Harper.
I do too.
Because he had an above 500 season, even though it didn't lead to the playoffs.
Yeah. It's very, very close. The one thing that put Soto aside for me was the defensive difference. I think Harper's defensive metrics didn't like him, but they liked Soto. That was literally the tiebreaker. Soto had a generational on base percentage. Harper slugged really well and also walked really well. This was an incredibly difficult decision, but I ended up going with Soto.
Yeah,
he was also my preseason NL MVP pick, which not that I deserve a ton of credit. It's I picked the best player in the National League to be the best player in the National League.
Yeah.
For my 2004 American League MVP prediction, I'm going with Barry Bonds.
American League.
Oh yeah.
So
National League.
so
That would be a bold prediction.
it would be a bold. He will be traded very early on, or not very early on, and still
Yeah.
win MVP. So yeah, my breakdown of it. He had the same F WAR as Bryce Harper. He also led the National League in B WAR by, and he led Harper by a good amount. And maybe I trust B WAR a little more now after our discussion with Mark Simon about defensive runs saved. His weighted runs created plus was within 7 points of Harper, and he also had 55 more plate appearances. So it's not like a crazy difference, but it's like these are kind of the microscopic things you have to look at in such a tight race like this. He did have 55 more plate appearances and only trailed him in weighted runs created plus by 7. Also, as you mentioned, the defense, he had a distinct advantage in outs above average and defensive runs saved. He had at least 8 more in each category. And lastly, Juan Soto hit 396 with runners in scoring position, elite level. Harper was also great. He hit 330 with runners in scoring position, but as you can see, 66-point difference there. So I decided to go with Soto as my pick for that reason. But I do think they're going to give it to Harper because of the team stuff. Also, he had the advantage in home runs, OPS, things of that nature. I don't think they're going to care that much that he played 10 less games in a 162 game season.
Yeah.
So that is our breakdown of the awards that I thought were going to be this week, but I definitely misread it. But it wasn't that long of a discussion anyway. And I guess the last thing we'll get into, kind of what was surprising news.
Yeah, it was.
Buster Posey, after a phenomenal year this year, a resurgence almost, is hanging it up. He's declining a $22 million option in order to do so. So he's definitely had enough of baseball, I guess, if you want to phrase it like that.
I mean, he's had a lot of injury troubles over the years. I mean, they had to create a rule that is named after him because of an injury that he got.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I can't blame him.
Not at all.
And with the $22 million option, I mean, he made $146 million over the course of his career. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
They also he opted out of the 2020 season because he and his wife had just adopted twins. It's a very, obviously his personal life is in a very different spot. So, stuff happens, and I think he's done everything he can do, I feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's 34, or if he was in his age 34 season. Yeah, he's 34. Yeah, he's done everything a baseball player can do. If you go to the top of the reference page, MVP, Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger, and also a batting title. That's the most important thing. As we know, as we've repeated on the show, he's done everything he can. He's a Hall of Famer, and if he wants to move on, you can't blame him.
Yeah.
And he also had a great final season. You had a stat on Twitter.
I did. Which one? Yeah.
I
I had
saw
2 of them.
I just saw Shoeless Joe Jackson and Hap Felch in there.
Happy Felch. Yeah. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons in baseball history where a guy had an 140 OPS plus or higher in their final season, and that's in AL or NL history, minimum 450 plate appearances. Buster Posey was one of them. The others were Shoeless Joe Jackson, Hap Felch, Mickey Mantle, Will Clark, Barry Bonds, David Ortiz. Quite a list.
Dang, I didn't know Mickey Mantle was like that. But yeah, and also 5 of those, only 5 of those were voluntary last seasons because Felch and Jackson were caught up in the in the Black Sox scandal,
Yep.
in which they took money to lose the World Series. So yeah, like even makes it even more impressive. And yeah, he's another guy that was just easy to root for.
His 2012 season in which he won MVP was the only season in baseball history by a catcher to produce at least 10 F4.
Oh yeah, it's the highest catcher F4 in a season ever.
Yep.
Um,
Pretty incredible.
yeah, it is. And having frame data helped out his defensive metrics. It showed us how great he really was. Another statistic on Buster Posey from 2010 to 2017, the only person ahead of him in F4 was Mike Trout. So he was, in that 8-year span, according to Fangraphs, wins above replacement, was the second best player in baseball for 8 years. Worked with some very good pitching staffs as well, and was an amazing offensive catcher. Like they don't have a stat for like catcher OPS plus. Because,
Yeah. It would be like 175 probably.
Yeah. If your average catcher has like what, a 90, 85 OPS plus, I don't know.
That's a steal.
Like your average catcher might have an 85 OPS plus. Buster Posey had a 129 career OPS plus. And yeah, just fantastic career.
Doesn't B-War take into account positional like stuff though?
Not for OPS plus, only for
But for like wins above replacement.
for O WAR. I don't think
Okay.
overall WAR, but
Okay.
because like
Well, he had a 40 WAR.
yeah,
And in 12 seasons, that's pretty good.
yes 40.8 O WAR, 9.8 D WAR, but like yeah, if your O WAR plus D WAR is more than your actual WAR, that means like you played very well for your position, I guess.
Yep.
At least offensively. It's weird. It's very semantics.
Buster Posey was an MVP, a Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger Award winner, batting title champion, caught 2 no-hitters, caught a perfect game, and will eventually be a Hall of Famer. One thing I just want to say, Gold Gloves, only had 1. Gold Gloves are like sponsored by a company that is literally made in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah.
Like don't ever look at Gold Gloves as an evaluator
Yeah, definitely.
at any
not.
point in at any era in history, especially not the 90s and early 2000s.
Right. Exactly. 100%. Yeah, just look at the just go look at Fielding Bible Awards.
Yep.
With Sports Info Solutions. Yeah. So Buster Posey, great career. Just looking at more stuff like, yeah.
Pretty cool that he went out with exactly 1,500 hits.
Yeah, that is true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons with MVP votes as well.
Yep.
Yeah, just a phenomenal catcher. And, good thing for him, he was able to spend his whole career in San Francisco, go out a giant, go out on his own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did surprise us, but he's also, a 34-year-old catcher. What can you really expect?
He also he beat the he needs to go to first base narratives. Like
That's
he was a
true.
primary catcher his whole career,
That's true.
which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, very true. Very true. So yeah, shout out to Buster Posey and all of his accomplishments in the baseball world. And was there any other news? I think we'll get into some
We'll
of the...
get into like the contract and club option stuff later.
Yep.
I think this is a good place to leave off.
Yep. I guess for news, if anyone didn't know, Nick Castellanos is going to be a free agent. I imagine he doesn't sign in the next week.
No.
So
No.
we can hold off until next week.
He's going to take a minute to sign because there's going to be a whole other side of the league where a market opens up for him, hopefully in December.
Yes, indeed. So we hope you enjoyed this one. And if you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta, and follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran, and follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on next Thursday. Next Thursday, not Monday, next Thursday, where we are going to be talking about, I guess, the finalists being announced, and the happenings in Major League Baseball. See you then.
This conversation is over.